Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Doing good? Friday? Yes, I'm gonna get started shortly. We are gonna get started shortly. My target for Microsoft. So I have 421.73 and then 427 above. All right, we are gonna get started here. It's 9:05. Welcome. It is 1 year ago exactly that we launched Space Monkey Pro. And just one word on that. Thank you so much, everybody that is a current member and previous members for giving us a shot. I hope you've had a good year. Definitely, when we started, the market was not where we're at right now. A lot has changed since, and so we've gotten through that, and now we're kind of reaping the reward. But as somebody that's running this, thank you so much. I appreciate every single one of you, and I will do my best moving forward, as I have in the past, making you a better trader. Now, ES. So what I'm looking for ES today is a hold of this 50-20. 50-20 has capped us in the last 2 days, and so a hold of that after this beautiful breakout is integral. It's something that we need to hold. Now, do we get a back test? I don't know. Do we just keep on going? We could, right? We could move back towards those highs, overnight highs around 50.43, and then, fail that breakout and come back down. So there are all these different ways we could trade in real trading hours, and so we just have to keep an eye on that. But 50-20 is tested and held. We could that could be a really nice kind of dip buy for a push higher. All right, so ES 50-20, 50-30, and then we'll push towards those even numbers above 50-50, which I'll just add here in my chart. All right, so that's that. So ES is looking okay. We're only up about 0.19% or 19 basis points. QQQ is interesting as well, right? QQQ is, starting to one time frame higher, and so we need to see if we could hold. The candle bodies are getting smaller, and so that could indicate a little bit of a reversal. But so far, yesterday was the one day where tech was lagging a little bit. We had some smaller names, IWM, names, some more growth names kind of leading us higher, right? But for now, QQQ, if we can break this 434.45, we can test that 440. Obviously, it's tricky, right? Sometimes what happens is that you have some rotation into other parts of the market for one day, and then it comes back into big tech. So if that happens, I'll be curious to see what happens with some of the names that we will mention later about Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, etc. All right. Yesterday I said, oh, I don't like the IWM chart, but then it put in a beautiful candle, and now it's a little more interesting to me. It's not interesting like I want to trade it yet, but it is interesting because we did break out of this trend line here. Looked like we were failing, and now we're back above. And so this higher low on the daily is interesting to me. I think when I would like to start kind of looking more for a trade would be above 200. remember that 196.38 was a really nice reversal on FOMC just a couple weeks ago. So, let's see if we can hold this 196, 197 area to push towards 200. Lastly, as far as indices, we're going to look at SMH, and the SMH is pushing higher. It did test 200 yesterday, but could not hold it. I think by the end of the day, it kind of fell through just a bit, but in the overnight sessions, we are pushing higher. It is up about 75 basis points, 0.74%, and it's looking very, very strong. Now, we do have NVIDIA earnings just in a few weeks. I think not the next week, but the week after that. And so that's going to be interesting as it could shake things up. All right, so semis are looking okay, and we'll go through a few different names. I'm going to go through some of the more interesting names first that I've seen, and then we can kind of cycle through some other names. If you members or the people who are on YouTube watching this have any questions regarding charts, let me know, and I will get to it when I can, if I can. Starting with Microsoft. Happy birthday, Steve. Thank you. Okay, Microsoft. I was watching 415.32 yesterday, and it did one of those, it peeked through it and then kind of ranged pretty much all day between 413 and 414 most of the day. That 414 was important because it was a day, the prior day high, right? And there are also some other reasons why that was a significant level, some after-hour levels, which we walked through yesterday during the live session, SpacemonkeyPRO. But aside from that, I think what's interesting here today is if QQQ gets some inflow, I think Microsoft could tag this 421.73. This would be your target today. I had some 420 calls for next week that I kind of cut before it really kind of pushed end of day here. So it happens sometimes, but it's okay. I feel confident enough that if we do get a dip that gets supported, I think those 420 for next week could be a good trade. Alternatively, 420 for this week. Maybe even 425 next week and 420 for this week. So we just have to watch and see here. All right, we just have to watch and see. Microsoft's at that point here above 400 where we don't have 1750s anymore. It's all even numbers, right? So 410, 415, 420. So that's why I would be looking at maybe next week calls here. But let's see. I think it can move to 422 today if it indeed catches a little bit more of a bid. Next one would be Meta. We did propose yesterday to perhaps take a risky trade overnight, and that risky trade was a 475 call, which I think would have been an okay trade, which would have put you, I think, green, but given you a pretty good shot of an open drive kind of trade here, Meta. Now, Meta, it does this thing sometimes where it pops at open, it catches people chasing, rips back lower, finds support, and then pushes into new high, right? So watch that pattern, right? Watch that pattern. That's a little tidbit. But you don't always have to chase it. All right. If it does pop, watch for that little back test and then watch for support. Another one I'm liking is Amazon. Amazon is looking pretty good. And the reason why it's looking good is that it's in a daily flag after a beautiful kind of gap up on the daily after earnings. All right. So that's a really nice consolidation pattern. You also have a multiple wicks. So these are just buyers pushing Amazon higher. So once we get inflow into big tech, I think Amazon could be one of the three that catches a nice bid. We've talked about Meta. We've talked about Meta. We've talked about Meta. We've talked about Microsoft, and we've talked about Amazon. Those are the three. All right. Aside from that, I'm going to glance on some of the other names here. Apple, there's nothing to do with Apple unless it's above 191. All right, I need to see 191. If I see 191, which is the 50-day moving average here in red, I think that would be best. But for now, there's really nothing there. All right, it's just holding up. All right. Let's look at it. So we haven't looked at the chart for NVIDIA. obviously NVIDIA, many eyes on this one, and it's been a little trickier in the last 2 days. We caught this little dip here with the 750 calls for next week. So I would love for this one to kind of make a move today into 720 or 717, 720, 734. That'd be fantastic with those 750 calls. But for me, it's all about that 709.73 area. Watch that. That's your big trade today. If it breaks that 709.73 or 710 even number, I think this one could move at least 7 points. Okay. Another one, obviously it's SMCI, right? It's the NVIDIA twin here. These two are kind of, it's a push and pull kind of thing together. SMCI, it's I kind of like the idea of NVIDIA a little more. There's more of a level there. I think with SMCI, with names that are doing what it's doing right here, what you need to look for is a day 2, day 3, day 4. So basically continuation pattern, right? You want to see a one-time frame higher or one-time frame up pattern. I have some information regarding that on my Twitter. Just have to go through the timeline there. You can find it. Actually, if you can go to my Notion too, and you can find it there. I've actually started kind of working on some things in Notion, just putting some resources there. So make sure to go there and take a look at that. Aside from that, what do I like? Snow is strong. Snow, we watched this 220 and it gave us an in the other day, and it's now gapping up. It's testing this 230 area, 233, 234 above. With everything gapping up, it's a very hard thing to do, right? You need to watch for that attempt to gap fill. And that attempt to gap fill will tell you, what could happen. An attempt to gap fill could just mean that, there are no sellers. We can't even fill the gap. That should give you confidence for reversal trade higher. If it starts filling the gap, you look for the gap fill, right? You can look for a gap fill and support and push higher, or a gap fill and then just total breakdown. The alternative is that we cannot even fill the gap. It does, it tests the gap entry a couple times, then recovers that first 10-minute candle low, and then off we go. So watch that pattern. D-Dog has a really nice pattern here, and it's gapping up really nicely here, 3.5%. I'm not sure why it's gapping up so much, but I think it's gapping up because Snow is, right? So watch Snow, watch D-Dog, watch MDB. These all have earnings coming up just next week. Okay, now let's get into Cyber. And we're gonna go for, I guess, 10 more minutes here, and then we're gonna shut it off on YouTube, and we're just gonna make it members exclusive live stream for today. We'll do that just before the open so we can have enough time to run through the focus list and get ready for the open. Crowd is gapping up once more. Crowd, I was interested in Crowd down here at 308, 307, right? We were watching it this, I think was it Tuesday and Wednesday, and it gapped up and just pushed the fuck off. So I'm not chasing this one, but it's giving you some entries, right? Like this 313 hold was an entry. It's just, sometimes it's just hard to catch those. It just doesn't feel right in the moment. All right. Some other semi names here. LRCX is looking pretty good. LRCX has earnings. I thought I had earnings, but actually earnings is out. Yeah, it was end of January, so earnings is out with this one. Interesting. I mean, this is just a really nice kind of curl base. Looks like it wants to push higher. Let's see. One that I liked yesterday was, hold on, give me a sec. All right, Avgo tested these highs and failed, so watch for a higher low and a push higher. But Avgo, there's not a whole lot here for me. McDonald's put in a really nice day yesterday. I thought kind of came back above the 50-day moving average. So I think I spoke to a member about this 200-day As long as 281, 83 held and a recovery of the 200 could spark a move higher, and it did, right? Some of these names were looking pretty good. So the consumer services, restaurants, CMG, watch for a 111, right? Or alternatively, a flag consolidation for push higher. Shack was looking pretty good yesterday. And it's looking pretty good today, right? Shack is looking good, has earnings next week, right? Now, I will get into the crypto names, but just give me a second. Oh, I would fail as the guy running the show here if I didn't mention Net. I almost forgot Net. Net is looking good. All right, we traded the 90 calls, we took profits, we rolled them into the 105 calls for expiring today on an earnings lotto, and those will be deep in the money. I will probably sell them and make a decision after that. But Net is looking very, very, very strong. It caught a really nice kind of caught some headwind after ARM, I think. And so, Cloudflare pushing higher. So very, very nice. I'm looking forward to this. Looking forward to this one. With this one, it's hard, right? ARM, what I had to do with ARM yesterday, because I did miss the gap up, is watch and see if it sells off just a bit. And you have to watch for, the premiums. You have to watch for, let's say if it sells down to the 100, like 100, if it holds, it can move back up. So you got to watch how much of support it gets there. These are my levels above this 112, 110, 115, and 120 above that. All right. But Net, with Net, you have cloud names, you have cyber and all that kind of moving. So we'll see how that is affected here. ZS looking pretty strong. It's working on a day 3 continuation. Here's the day 1, day 2, day 3. So here's that pattern, right? You just kind of play the high, break of high, and you just keep going. Throw some names in the hat here, team, just in case I'm missing something. Netflix, what I'm liking about Netflix is it gapped up and it's just consolidating in a really nice kind of down channel. For me, Netflix, if 570 breaks, 572 breaks, could push towards that 580. 580 is your bigger trade. BTC is looking really nice. Trading around 47,000, coming back really nicely off these lows here. So 10,000 above that. But obviously you have names like Mara doing well, right? Looking pretty good. You have names MSTR, and of course you have Coin. I don't like chasing these names because they usually sell off just a bit, but you can watch for a dip. Well, okay. What I'm interested today is watching. Do we get continuation in IWM, or do we rotate into other parts of the market, more specifically QQQ, and if so, what would be the trade there, right? For me, what I'm liking is obviously Microsoft. I'm liking Meta. I'm liking Amazon. Those are the ones that I'm liking the most. Side eye on Nvidia. It is Friday, so let's see if they'll push it into the new week here. Let's see if we get some momentum here. Aside from that, it's not a whole lot of other things. Me and Jay were talking about IBM yesterday. I'm still kind of tracking this, okay? I'm stalking it. And I want to see if we can get above this 185. I like this. It's starting to look like it's curling higher, right? But one day doesn't say much, right? Look at this one nice big green day, and then we fell through. So what you want to see here is a really nice push above 185, and then push towards 188. Next time it tests 188, and then we can get a bigger kind of momentum move. 188 was the after-hour highs from this earnings report day, which provided this move all the way up to 196.90. Right? One which we traded successfully. So, just add your alerts and keep an eye on it, and, we'll see. But with this one, probably a longer kind of swing is better than a shorter momentum trade, unless, you get a big kind of headline or something that you could trade. All right. So I just posted the focus list team in the commentary. Take a look at it. We'll talk about it in a little bit. And that's it. As far as look at me. I forgot this disclaimer. I actually prepped ahead of time, but everything I say here is obviously for information and educational purposes only. Not investment advice, please. I'm a monkey. Don't listen to me. There we go. So I gotta set up my space here, but I want to see what SPX does with this 5,000. I want to see QQQ, what it does with a possible backtest of yesterday's highs, and then perhaps even yesterday's PUC around 432.57. Watch yesterday's PUC, right? We could get a so-called previous day PUC bounce kind of opportunity throughout, right? But, on Friday, you have to be a little careful. You have to be very exact with your entries, and, there's not a whole lot of room for mistakes. As always, feel free to play next week strikes or options, even though maybe I'll enter an expiration a call that expires today. So by doing that, you'll lower your risk. Okay. Alternatively, if you want to trade what I'm trading, just size down. All right. I haven't really mentioned Tesla because there's not a whole lot to mention there. For me, at least, it's just not ready yet. It needs above 196. Really needs above 207, but above 200 could be a trade. All right. For everybody on YouTube, thanks for checking us out. I'm probably gonna do this every morning. So check my Twitter page for the link, or just follow me on YouTube. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a good day.